Welcome into week 2 of the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians, and always fun to do one of these after a win. So first of all, congratulations, coach. What an exciting win for you guys, especially to open up at home that way. So first, I wanted to hear how much this game meant to the team and what sort of the morale was like afterward, the attitude was like, just what this did for the team overall.
Yeah, it was fun. It was great. You know, it's always great to win home, especially a division game. So it was exactly what we needed. Our defense played outstanding. Offense was good enough. Special teams was really, really good, and it was a nice team victory.
I feel like there's so much we can go into. I wanted to start with the offensive side a little bit. We'll get into the defense a little bit later. And Leonard Fournette, I mean, man, coming on strong there and 2 touchdowns, some big carries when you guys needed it in the fourth quarter. First of all, can you just take us through those 2 touchdowns that he had?
Yeah, the first one was after a great reception by him. You know, it was a situation. We put a play in for him down in the red zone, and he made a great play. Good throw by Tom, got it down. I thought he scored. We went with a little bit of hurry up, and he knocked it in. Really good job by the right side of the offensive line. Tristan and Cap really did a good job, and the tight ends too, knocking that one in.
And then, I mean, such a bigger role for him this week. We had talked a little bit last week about how, of course, he was still learning the offense, getting adjusted, and we didn't really know what it was going to look like moving forward, of how involved he would be. So does it stand to reason that with how much he was involved this week that you felt a lot more comfortable with his familiarity with the team and the playbook?
Yeah, and you know, we don't change a lot of things week to week, so our guys can get better and better. His role increased. Basically, I thought all 3 of our backs played well. Then Shady made some great third down catches and got first downs for us. Rojo had a great run on a touchdown run with that stiff arm going around the corner. And it was his turn in the fourth quarter. It's great to have a guy that good to come bring in the fourth quarter with fresh legs.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be the benefit of having 3 guys that you really believe in. And would this game be how you would ideally like to see them used? I mean, you have Rojo starting out a little bit more of the workhorse early on. You mentioned Leonard Fournette, you know, coming in fresh a little bit later. Shady getting a lot of those third down type catches. Is this really sort of your ideal vision for that group?
Yeah, it's a really good group. They're all pulling for each other. They're, you know, each guy would like to have a player or 2 back from that game. There's still a lot of room for improvement, and that's a good thing. Winning and still saying that we can get a lot better.
And what did happen on that Rojo fumble?
It was a combination between him getting his elbow up high enough and Tom faking and then getting the ball in. He got to have a little more patience on that draw play.
And then I know that you mentioned we talked about the one drop that LaShawn had. Just overall, what did you feel like caused that? I know there were just a few drops all the way around for the offense in this game. Was the wind a factor? You know, what was kind of going on with that?
I think the wind affected Cyril's drop, but the rest of them, Shady's going to catch that ball 9 out of 10 times. I think you just, you know, that first one and made a great play getting open. Tom made a great throw. We got to make those plays. So I haven't seen Scotty drop many balls in camp, and he drops an easy touchdown. So we dropped about 7 balls in this game. That's something we got to correct.
And how does a windy game like that affect the game plan or the way you guys do things? Is it just, hey, we got to make sure we're executing more, or do you make some adjustments on the types of plays that you run or things you ask people to do?
Well, it really depends on how much it affects the ball in air and throwing the ball for the quarterback. And in our stadium, it always swirls. It really never affects the ball that much as far as throwing it. It might move it a little bit, but it's just concentration. When the ball's going to move a little bit, your concentration level has to be even better.
And Mike Evans, a touchdown, more than 100 yards. How much of this was his health, and how much of this was just that much more time getting on the same page with Brady and the offense overall?
I think a combination of those two. He was a lot healthier. They single covered him a few times. Tom saw it, got him the ball. So it was a good combination of both of those. I thought it was a great throw, Mike getting down the middle, and excellent throw by Tom over the linebacker's reach to hit that 50-yarder down the middle.
And that touchdown for Mike came right after a turnover. And, multiple turnovers for you guys in that game. And then not only were you able to force that many turnovers, but you were able to capitalize on them with plays like Mike's touchdown. How important is it not only to get the touchdowns or to get the turnovers, but to then be able to capitalize on them offensively?
Yeah, it's huge, especially when you can do it in one play. And, we made a Mike did a double move. Tom made a great pump fake, and boy, was that a great placement on that ball for the touchdown as soon as he got the DB's backs turned. You know, we went for the same thing, and we threw an interception. Started the second half. We got the great turnover. We went for the kill shot again, and just was a little bit high. But, you know, I like our aggressiveness in those situations.
Speaking of aggressiveness, big fan of the flea flicker. That's always a fun one for those of us watching. Take us through that play a little bit, and then especially using Justin Watson for it, a guy who, you know, had not gotten a lot of reps as a wide receiver until the end of last year when it was because of injuries, and just sort of what you've seen from him.
Yeah, Justin's growing as a wide receiver. His confidence is getting bigger and bigger, and you know, it was a great fake by him on the crack block, and Tom was one of those catch no threads and throw it out there. He'd like to have the threads. I think it'd have been an easy touchdown, but it was a big completion for us, and swap field position, set up a score.
And just overall, how do you feel about the depth of the wide receiver group as compared to last year? You know, when you are without Chris Godwin, and even I saw that I think Mike needed to take a couple plays off a little bit, and I think that was right around when that flea flicker happened potentially. So just how comfortable you feel with this wide receiver group when some of your top guys are out and what they're able to produce? Yeah,
last year's injuries, you know, got some guys some chances to play. Jalen Mickens, Cyril Grayson, Jay Watt, they all got a chance to play last year, and they came back with more and more confidence. And so, yeah, I like the depth in the room. Hopefully we'll get Chris back this week and have our starters out there.
Yeah, and what do you miss when Chris is out? What are the biggest things that he brings and that his absence can do to affect this offense?
Well, Chris is a ferocious blocker, and he's one of the best blocking receivers in the league, and that sets up a lot of play action. And he's got great hands, you know, so not going to be any drops when it's around Chris. So he just brings a Pro Bowl player, and they're hard to take out of your offense.
And how about the tight end group? I know there weren't a lot of targets going their way, especially early in the game, and the interception was on a pass to Gronk, and maybe there was one kind of at OJ's feet. Is there something going on still of getting Brady on the same page with them, or how do you feel like you see the tight end group potentially getting a little bit more involved in this offense?
You know, I've never been a guy that throws the ball to the tight ends a lot. So we got receivers that get paid for that and get paid well. So I don't get carried away with numbers. It's quality catches for the tight ends. And, you know, we got a big PI to Gronk down the middle on an attempt. And so, yeah, I think that they'll continue to grow. OJ's been really, really solid the first 2 weeks. And he had one drop in this ball game. But, yeah, the tight end room is solid.
Okay, well, we still have plenty more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. Going to continue talking about that Panthers win and look ahead to the game against the Broncos. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with head coach Bruce Arians. We're talking about that win against the Panthers at home. We talked a lot about the offense, and we're going to get into the defense here in this segment, but I did want to touch real quickly on the offensive line and their play. Obviously that running game got going a lot. Brady, there was only one QB hit, I think, and no sacks. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on their play, and especially as compared to last game.
Yeah, I think they bounced back pretty strong as a group. They played really, really well. Love the fourth quarter running, being able to go down and get the field goal, and then to break that touchdown run in the 4-minute offense. So, yeah, I thought the offensive line played extremely well.
And then moving on into the defensive side, I got to start with Antoine Winfield Jr. Coming in here as a rookie, he had a forced fumble and a sack and I think 11 tackles. And to have this only be his second game and to have had such a weird offseason, missed so many reps, what does this say about him that he's been able to come in and produce so much so quickly?
Yeah, he's a high-quality young man. Came from a great program, and he's got a great bloodline. So you would hope that he would be able to do this, but at this high a level, no, I don't think any of us expected this. But he'll get his first game ball after that game.
Oh, that's awesome. I know that's going to be important to him. What were some of the plays and the things that you've seen from him, and especially in this last game, that stood out to you and show you the kind of player he is?
He's an excellent tackler, and he diagnoses plays extremely well. He's a heck of a blitzer, And, that's a situation that we like to keep him around the line of scrimmage. And he can go out and he can cover the third or fourth wideout. So his versatility is what's really, really good about him.
And then a sentence I feel like I've said 1,000 times, Levante David with a forced fumble. Another guy that, he just makes that play so often. Just take us through that play and why that in particular was so impressive, what he was able to do.
Yeah, Levante is such a great tackler, and then when he's there, he's great at stripping the ball. He gets his hand in there. He's a sure tackler, and then he gets the ball out. He forced a fumble and recovered another fumble, and heck of a game.
Yeah, and JPP was the one who recovered that forced fumble, and he also had a sack for the second straight game this year. What have you seen from the way he's been able to be such an impact player so early this year, especially after missing him at the start of the season last year?
Yeah, JPP is always full of energy. He plays hard, nonstop. Had a great sack. Good job picking up the fumble, making a few yards afterwards, and continued pressure from the edge all day long.
All right, well, we still have more coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show. We're going to finish up talking about that Panthers game and move on to the next opponent, the Broncos, to hear about that game, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back into the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips here with Bruce Arians. We're finishing up talking about that Panthers win on Sunday, and we've been talking about the defense, and they just made so many big plays, set the offense up for some really easy scores as well. We had just talked about JPP and the sack he was able to get, and Ndamukong Suh 2 sacks and made a lot of other impact plays as well. Just overall, what did you see from his game and how important it was for him to get some of those sacks after? I know last year we talked about how he didn't get as many sacks, but you always said he's still such an impact player. If he's getting sacks as well, what is that going to mean?
Well, they paid so much attention to Shaq and JPP. The inside guys had a tremendous game. Sue left, 2.5 sacks. Great hustle play on a screen play, running him down. McCaffrey the one time, and Will Golston. Our interior line, I thought played extremely well.
Yeah, and Will Golston is a guy that I feel like, for whatever reason, doesn't always get the love, get the attention, get the notoriety. But is this year, and maybe even this defense in particular, something that suits him well enough that this could really be the year that we see him making some of those big impact plays, that he gets the recognition he deserves?
He had a great game last week. This defense fits him. He's a 4-5 technique guy, the long length and strong, so it's a perfect fit for this defense, and he's playing extremely high level every single week.
And you mentioned how much attention guys are giving to Shaq and JPP. Shaq hasn't been able to get a sack yet, but I wanted to hear from you as you watch the film and know what you guys are asking him to do, how you feel like he's been playing, and if that really is one of the biggest reasons is that they're just giving so much attention to him.
He's been really, really close, and I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks out soon, but he was within about 2 inches of knocking the ball out down there on the 5-yard line when he reached out and just missed it one time. But he's always humming around the quarterback. They know he's out there, that's for sure. But, the numbers will come.
And Jordan Whitehead gets the first takeaway of the season for the defense, gets himself an interception. Take us through that play and why it was so pivotal and important, especially at that point in the game.
Yeah, we started out slow offensively. We were 3 and out, and defensively, they marched it down the field on us. And that was one of those windy days where you can't lob a screen pass out there. And we had the screen covered well. I don't know if Teddy was trying to throw it away or not, but it's hung up in the air, and Jordan made a great interception, kind of turned the whole thing around for us.
He also, I know, had a big tackle in the backfield on McCaffrey as well. That I just wanted to hear how he has started this season. What you've seen overall from Jordan Whitehead and the kind of player he is. We heard all sorts of hype about how he came back in just looking like an action figure. He was so shredded from working out this offseason. How have you seen it translate on the field?
Oh, he's played really well. He had one penalty last week, but he bounced back. This might have been his best game ever since we've been here. He was really solid, run and pass. And the one thing about Jordan, he knows he's going to throw his face in the fan, and he's tough as nails. So I'm really happy to see him get that interception.
That's awesome. And McCaffrey, you guys, again, a couple weeks in a row facing these really tough running backs. You held him to 59 yards on 18 carries. He did have a couple touchdowns. But overall, how did you feel like the defense contained him?
I thought pretty solid. They spread us out a lot. He got some few yards after contacts of 4 and 5 yarders, but overall I thought we handled him pretty well.
And Carlton Davis, an interception with, from what I hear, after dislocating a finger maybe, that has got to get you some extra bonus points if you're going to get an interception after that point. Just continuing to see him have to face, the big wide receivers, make the big plays. How would you evaluate his play on Sunday, and then just so far where he's at as compared to where you've wanted him to be this season?
Yeah, he's playing good. I mean, I told him he needed to break a finger more often. Now you catch better. And that was a heck of an interception playing man-to-man. That doesn't happen very often. And, he's been playing really, really solid. And he loves that challenge of taking their best guy and go playing.
And you mentioned how well the special teams did, and I know that was an area that you had not been as pleased with in the first game of the year. Now, stopped their fake punt, had to recover an onside kick, having to kick in a windy day. There was a lot of elements going on, and I wanted to hear not only how you felt like they played, but were some of those plays the ones you had mentioned how concerned you were about special teams being an area that lost a lot of reps in this kind of an off season, that things like practicing onside kicks and stopping fake punts, are those some of the areas that have lost maybe the most type of time to work on in an off season like this one?
Yeah, a lot of times you don't get to rep them. You talk about them all the time. Last week we muffed that kickoff after a penalty, and we went back to and talked a lot about special teams winning this ball game for us, and I think we won every phase in special teams. Bradley Pinion had a great day kicking off, like he always does, but he also had a great day punting over 42 net, and we covered well. Great job on the fake punt of stopping them and also getting the onside kick back. So, I thought our special teams covered well, protected well. Ryan Suckup did a good job on that go-ahead field goal, and everything looked really good in special teams.
All right, well, we still have one more segment coming up here on the Bruce Arians Show, and we are going to talk about that upcoming game against the Broncos. We'll be right back. The Bruce Arians Show final segment here. Casey Phillips, head coach Bruce Arians. We're talking about that upcoming game against the Broncos, and it actually works out great because during the break we were talking about how we don't know what that Broncos team is going to look like because unfortunately they've just dealt with so many injuries, whether it's before the season started, since the season started. How does that affect you in preparation mode when there are so many unknowns and guys being asked to step in?
Yeah, it's very, very hard. You try to study the film, study your one-on-one matchups, but the injury bug has hit him really, really hard. And it looks like Jeff Driscoll, who's a very, very good quarterback, a guy that's can really run and hurt you with his legs as long as with his arm. Also, he's a veteran guy, so he came in and played really well against Pittsburgh. Then Von Miller was a big one for him. AJ Bouye. So they've had their rash of injuries, but Vic will have them ready to go. Coach Fangio's a hell of a coach, and we've got to be ready to roll.
And how does the altitude affect things in this game? I mean, I know that they're a team that we don't play very often, especially not at their place. There's a lot of guys, probably a vast majority of the guys on this team that may not have ever gone to play there yet. So what are the aspects of that, whether it's your game plan or is sports science going to kind of get involved? Overall, how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, sports science gives us the best preparation for the high altitude, and then just getting ready to play. It's still a football game. Get off the field, and altitude won't bother you if you're on defense. Don't give them any long drives. But offensively, it can. When you have some long drives, especially your receivers, you have to watch your substitutions, and I've been there many, many times, and so it does make a difference. It's a home field advantage.
And one of the guys that we were talking about how many guys they are missing because of injury, but I know their tight end, Noah Fant, he's had a heck of a start to the season. What have you seen potentially from him and what he can bring?
Yeah, a big active guy out of Iowa. Got a lot of speed. He's got wide receiver speed playing tight end, and they run so many play action passes, and he does a great job of getting down the field for him.
And their offensive line gave up no sacks week 1, and then I think gave up 7 this last Sunday. What does that do in terms of preparing and what you think you might face when there is such a big difference in disparity in some of those numbers and what a team has been able to do when it comes to y'all's game plan?
Yeah, we'll wait and see who's out there for him, but it really won't change our plan. We've got to attack and get after the quarterback. Like we always say, we stop the run, get them in a one-dimensional ball game, and then we'll get them.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us on this edition of the Bruce Arians Show. Casey Phillips with Bruce Arians. Thanks to all of you guys for joining us, and we'll see you right back here next week.